I had been using GHB, as well as LSD, mushrooms, marijuana, DXM, and ketamine, rather frequently at the time of this incident, late 1997, and had never been more intoxicated than a moderate drunk, by the quantities of GHB I'd tried, which were up to 7 grams at once or 11 grams staggered over several hours. I was my own supplier, chemist, and thought that I was thoroughly in control of any situations I chose to be in, but proved myself quite fallible one autumn evening. I was brooding alone at my flat after my roommate had gone out on a date. My baseline GHB dose at the time was typically 4 grams, and I kept the liquids in the house mixed at a 1 gram per teaspoon ratio. I was a bit bothered about a recent breakup and had been using other recreational drugs quite heavily over the past few months, so I thought nothing of washing down 4 teaspoons of some leftover GHB I'd found in the cupboard. Ooh, surprise cash! With a glass of apple juice, which was my favorite mixer at the time. It tasted a bit stronger and nastier than usual, but I wandered back to the computer and resumed perusing newsgroups without a second thought. Very shortly the effects began to come on with an unusual intensity, and within minutes I was unable to focus my eyes on the monitor. Out of sheer dumb luck, I stumbled over to a recliner and passed out in an upright position, which may possibly have saved me. I awoke some 5 hours later to find my roommate in a pale but relatively calm rage, reading through my own bookmarked research to try to determine if an ambulance ride to the hospital was in order or if sleeping it off was still an option. He and his date had returned 2 hours previously to find me unconscious and covered in my own vomit. After numerous unsuccessful attempts to arouse me, she went home while he tried to work through what to do, he himself being a lifelong abstainer from any illicit substance. My assumption is that my being upright prevented me from aspirating my own vomit and kept the damage level to a minimum. At any rate, my return to consciousness did not signify any level of sobriety, which I soon discovered upon attempting to clean up a bit. I was still completely demolished and unable to coordinate any movement beyond crawling crookedly across the floor. I was entirely too dizzy to sit upright and found that standing was completely out of the question. Over the next hour I began to regain my faculties a bit, only to discover that, as an effect of the dosage, I would assume, I was extraordinarily depressed. I spent the next 2 hours sobbing, talking with my roommate and generally feeling suicidal and worthless. I began to calm down some time later and eventually went off to bed, still completely at a loss as to why I had been so radically affected by what I had considered to be a marginal dose of GHB. The next morning, while doing laundry and cleaning various articles of furniture, I stumbled upon the cause of the previous night's mayhem. The extra GHB in the cupboard turned out to be the remainders of the unreacted lactone I'd had left over from a prior batch. Yeah, drugs don't always make you the sharpest knife in the drawer. One interesting, at least to me, side note is that I never experienced such a level of depression in conjunction with GHB except on 2 occasions when I took GHB and DXM together. The first time 3 grams, 300 mg, and the second time 4 grams, 600 milligrams, respectively. A good friend with a long history of bipolar depression found this particular cocktail to be quite enjoyable. I personally have no explanations to offer other than that extended chemical experimentation may impede romantic efforts. But that's another story now, isn't it?